What is up, my friend? Welcome into another episode of Drummer Daily. My name is Daniel Hadaway, aka the Drum Coach. And like I said, this is Drummer Daily, your daily companion for your drumming life. Um, I paused there because I don't even know my own slogan. It's not your daily companion. It's the daily companion to your drumming life. Not that you care either way, but I do. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. What did you think of the last episode? The last episode was all about recording drums or miking drums and checking the phase and all of that. And it's funny because just recording that episode inspired me to kind of take the next step in my journey of working with the phase alignment of my drums. And so I always did what I suggested in the episode, which is, flip the phase back and forth of different mics to make sure that I'm picking the right one of the two for each mic. And then I also mentioned, I think in that episode, the idea of there's plugins that you can use to make it even better. And the one that I like and that I've used the demo of before was Auto Align by Sound Radix. And after recording last week's episode, I was so inspired that I actually went and bought that plugin and used it on a recording that I put out over the weekend as I'm recording this, and definitely think it's one of the best sounding tracks that I've ever done. And so I'm definitely hooked. This is the first time I'd used it in well over a year. I probably spent an extra 30 or 45 minutes just getting the phase right. And I probably could do it a lot faster now that I've done it once, but I was just making sure I got everything right. So definitely well worth the time. But the reason I ask is because, that was a real technical, real geeky kind of thing we got into. And so I wanted to know what you thought about it, if that was something that you'd like to hear more of or less of. So please do let me know, or anything else you'd like to hear on this podcast by sending an email to daniel@danielhadaway.com. All right, so today we're going to get into a little bit of something that I've touched on vaguely or in a minor way before, but I want to go a little bit more into it today. And that is, as I'm recording this, we're still in the middle of this whole isolation thing that we're doing with the coronavirus and all of those kinds of things. And we're seeing lots of businesses, like lots of local businesses, like restaurants and stuff like that. I'm sure you're seeing this in wherever you live, but we're seeing businesses have to adapt, doing curbside pickup or delivery or different things like that. And it's definitely sad. It's a challenge, I know, for people who are having to adapt to that. But it's also kind of inspiring to see the creative ways people are coming up with dealing with this whole thing and trying to find a way to succeed in the midst of all this. But what I'm seeing that's really interesting, and this is what kind of got me thinking about us as drummers and what we do, is basically these people are it's their business. This is their livelihood. This is their dream. This is what they're running their business in a certain way. And all of them are learning that, if they haven't already, and this is true of any kind of business, but as a business, your job is to provide great customer service, provide a product people want, do all those kinds of things. And interestingly, I've said this before, and this is kind of the point of today's episode, is we all, and this, whether you want to be a professional drummer and get paid for playing drums, or you don't really have any desire to get paid for drumming, but you do just, would love to play with other musicians or whatever, musically that you'd like to be doing as a drummer. My opinion is that we all should be approaching that our drumming careers as a business. And even if you don't want to make money from it, you should be approaching it that way. And interestingly, I see a lot of drummers who I think have heard this advice and they've taken it the wrong way. And what I mean is the result, they end up running their drumming like a business, but they've picked up on the wrong parts of a business as what is what is meant by that. So let me tell you what I don't mean when I say run your drumming as a business. And then I think when I say this, you'll understand. I think when I was younger, people told me to run my, I should run my drum career or my music career as a business. And I took it to heart and did some of these same things. So what I don't mean by run your career as a business is I think a lot of us hear that and think I need to market and promote what I offer as a drummer the same way a business would. And so what that leads to is drummers doing things like providing a overly promotion centric website, like creating a website that has like almost like a menu of services, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's like you can buy a drum track from me for $100 and then have all these add-ons, and it literally looks like the way you go to a fast food restaurant and pick out from a menu, all of that stuff. And that's not what I mean. It's just overly like process focused. It's like, let's streamline and mass produce my drumming. And that's me running it as a business. The problem is that actually is that would turn a lot of people who might pay for a drummer off, because it gives away the idea that you think of your drumming as something that is mass produced or that is not that special. It's like a hamburger at McDonald's. We make 100 of these an hour. So the way we make our money is by getting as many people through the door as possible and served as possible. It's not about a great product or it's not so much about a special product. It's about, what you're getting. It's a great value. It's cheap. So let's work you through the system as quickly as possible so that we can get as many of these as possible. It's a volume-based business. And so a lot of drummers, they create press kits or promotional videos and all this stuff. They brand themselves. They create a YouTube channel with logos and stuff and overproduce everything like that from a promotion perspective and run that as a business. But what I'm actually talking about is not the promotion and the marketing side that you should be running as a business. What I'm talking about is all the stuff think about the businesses that you love to go to as a customer, or the restaurants you love going to. Now, what are the things about those businesses that get you really excited to be their customer? And I bet if you start going through that list, and then you start asking yourself everything you list off, that's a reason why you love going to one of those businesses. If you were to say, okay, this is a reason why I love going to this business. Now, how can I, as a drummer, if I was working with other musicians, how could I do that same thing in a drumming version of it? So for example, I like going to a restaurant here in town, in my little town, that's a kind of a higher end restaurant, or it's high end for this little town we're in. It's not super expensive by any means, but they have really great, like Southern inspired, but kind of fancier food, like steaks and things like that. And I love the steak that they have there, and they have like fried pork belly. So it's like really thick cut bacon. That's like my favorite. But the answer to what it is about all of that I like is that it just tastes so good and it's so unique. It's really different and it's really well done. Okay, so that's two answers right there that you can take to your drumming and say, all right, well, I need to be, as a drummer, really different, and everything that I create needs to be really well done. Easy. That's a reason why someone would love doing business with you as a drummer, or just being in a band with you, or playing music with you, whatever that thing is. If you were to approach your drumming as a business from the aspect of, if you're providing great customer service, that means that you are always prepared and you take what you're doing seriously. You don't flake out last minute. You don't show up late. You show up with all the right gear. You might have established a checklist for yourself before any gig that you're going to of questions you need to have asked or answered. That you need to ask so you can have them answered. So you might have that ready to go and ask those questions of the person who's organizing everything, whether that's a band leader or an artist or even the club promoter or whoever it is. the producer, whatever it is, you have a list of questions that you're ready to ask. Is there going to be a drum kit there? What about cymbals? What about hardware? What about cymbal felts? Are they typically there or not? And that's a big problem here in Nashville. Drummers always complain about the hi-hat clutches and cymbal felts being missing from bars on Broadway and stuff. But whatever those things are, you can be organized and approach it from a business in that way. So I don't mean run your drumming as a business and act like you're bigger than you are and overly branded and commercial looking, which is what a lot of drummers do, which I don't think is helping them any. But I do mean run your drumming like a business from the perspective of how you carry yourself in a professional way. So organization, preparation, being kind, treating each other with treating other people with respect, all those kinds of things that you absolutely can run like a really well run business. And again, if you aren't sure what those things are for you, think about the businesses that you love going to and being a customer at, and then relate each of those reasons why you like being their customer back to being a drummer, and you'll be well on your way. All right, hopefully this helped you out, and let me know what you think about this by leaving an honest review on iTunes or anywhere else that you're listening to this podcast. It really does help me out a lot, and you can see I'm showing my age because I don't even think it's called iTunes anymore. It's called like Apple Podcasts or whatever. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Let me know what you think, and we will be back again very soon for another episode of Drummer Daily. Bye for now.